Okay, so I didn't really have a general direction that I wanted to take this video, so what I wanted to do instead was just compile a bunch of the smaller news updates in regards to the Detroit Red Wings and compile it into one thing. This makes it easier for all of us because I'm not scrambling around trying to find extra, bigger, deeper things when really, there's a lot of small things that can make up a bigger part, right? So let's talk today about the Red Wings and go over some of the updates that we had seen over the past 24 hours, starting out with yesterday's Jakub Vrana news. Now, as we did talk about in yesterday's show, Jakub Vrana, former Detroit Red Wing and current St. Louis Blue, and I say current because he wasn't claimed, was placed on waivers, and I said it would have been funny if the Red Wings went out there and tried to do something with that. Now, part of the reason I thought it would have been funny to explore that idea on that day was because the Wings ended up playing the Blues, and it actually was a good game, all things considered. Detroit won 6-4. Nice to see the boys getting on the board. You got multiple points out of guys like Michael Rasmussen, Lucas Raymond, and Joe Veleno. We'll talk a little bit more about Raymond as the show goes on. But the interesting thing about this showcase against St. Louis was that after the game, you had the Blues actually fire their coach. So yeah, you could say that in a way, the Detroit Red Wings cost Craig Berube his job. This totally didn't happen because the Blues were already losing a bunch of games and they were already kind of frustrated, but the Red Wings were the final nail in the coffin. Other than that, though, we did have ourselves some extra updates to go over in regards to a former St. Louis Blue who is currently on the Red Wings roster. David Perron has gone out there and appealed his suspension. The NHLPA went out there and tweeted this, that they are indeed appealing on behalf of David Perron regarding the NHL's decision to suspend him for 6 games. Now, we don't know where exactly that's going to go at the time of recording this audio. We're not too sure on all the details, but there was already a really big outcry as to this entire suspension, whether or not it was worth it to give the guy this amount of games. We talked about this and more in yesterday's, or not yesterday's video, but the one from 2 days ago, wherein we announced the suspension initially. It was a pretty big deal. Even the agent went out there and tweeted out saying, Jacob Trouba can go out there and swing his stick at a guy's head baseball style and not get any games, just a fine. So what's going on here with David Perron? Why does he get 6? And for me personally, if you had to ask, I can understand where the suspension comes from. Why is it a suspension and not a fine? Because it was a very intentional thing. But the magnitude as to how bad it was, is that warranting of a 6-game suspension? I don't really know. The NHLPA doesn't seem to agree, which is why they're going to go out there and file that grievance. In response, though, we also had ourselves more news and updates to the Dylan Larkin situation, because, of course, David Perron, all this stuff, the hit on Zub, it only happened because Larkin was taken out of the fray. We had ourselves Derek Lalonde going out there and expressing that it was difficult to see Dylan Larkin lie motionless on the ice. However, Lalonde also does say that he was able to talk to Larkin on the phone, and he got a 20-minute conversation out of the Wings captain, which is good to hear, and that Larkin is in good spirits at the same time. Lalonde says that Larkin is on the IR with an upper body injury and that they will know more about this in the coming days. However, there is no time frame on his return. This was from, when was this? 2 days ago? So after the entire thing, it's small, it's just an update, but of course it is an update that we all want to see. Larkin, of course, coming back soon is not really something I think most people would project. Look, based off of the guy's body language when he got taken out, there may be a long recovery time here, which is totally fine. He's got to get back up to speed. He's had injury problems in that same area of his body before, so for Dylan Larkin, man, this is fine. Just take as much time as he needs. And hey, the Wings went out there and won without him anyway. They've been winning without him anyway, so hey, Jonathan Berggren, maybe they don't need to trade this guy. He's been all right. And plus, he played center in the SHL when he was younger, so why not try him as the Larkin replacement instead? Either way, though, we did have ourselves the other update that I wanted to go over in this video, talking about that same Lucas Raymond that we highlighted in the St. Louis Blues game. Raymond had himself a goal and an assist, so 2 points, and if you take a look at his point production on the season, he's all the way up there to 24 points in 28 games played. On pace for about 70, which would be a career high, and he is on pace for 29 goals as well. That is an important number because his goal scoring has been pretty good throughout his entire Detroit Red Wings career so far. 23 goals in his rookie season, 17 in his sophomore year, and now 10 goals in 28 games puts him at a total of 50 goals in his young NHL career. Here's the post that got everybody excited as to how Raymond was able to put this on the board. Tweeted out by NHL Stats, Lucas Raymond became the 7th Detroit Red Wing player to reach 50 goals before the age of 22. Joining Steve Yzerman, who had 114, Gordie Howe, who had 70, Marcel Dion, who had 68, Mike Foligno with 56, Dylan Larkin with 56, and Ted Lindsay with 51. Now, Raymond does not turn 22 years old until March, so he does have a few more games and a few more months to go before this stat is set in stone. But now, being at 50, he's got 1 more goal that he needs to score to tie Ted Lindsay, and then 6 more goals to tie Foligno and Larkin. 7 if he wants to overtake them. Is it possible? I don't want to say never. The guy has been alright this season, but I will say, a lot of what he's done in 23-24, it feels more like he's just become a total, complete hockey player rather than just a goal scorer, quote-unquote. Like, the goals are only 20% of the value that Lucas Raymond provides. He is such a good player through and through that even if he doesn't go out there and tie Larkin or whatever, I mean, he'll probably tie Lindsay. He needs 1 goal between now and the end of March to get himself up in that spot. So he's probably there. I'll just knock on wood and say that. But at the end of the day, it's always nice to take a look at these older legends in Detroit and how some of the new blood is reaching those same marks. I mean, Steve Yzerman getting 114 goals before the age of 22 is bananas. Nobody's going to do that. Lucas Raymond is not going to do that. But there are still some other guys here. I mean, Gordie Howe, 70, Ted Lindsay, 51. I wanted to talk about Ted Lindsay, actually, because this guy is indeed one of the best Red Wings of all time. And sure, while he isn't a Gordie, he isn't a Yzerman or a Fedorov, I mean, Ted Lindsay was still a very important player. Small, quick, but he could get things done, and he scored a whole bunch of points on top of that, too. I'm not going to say that Lucas Raymond is going to have the same career as terrible Ted did. I mean, 4 Stanley Cups seems like a pretty tall task for anybody, not going to lie. But at the end of the day, it's a good name to be compared to, considering the hardware and the success that Ted Lindsay did have as a Red Wing. So, that concludes our video pretty much. It's a shorter one. It's just kind of small pieces of extra information that I wanted to coagulate into one thing, because I do think these things are good to acknowledge and actually good to talk about. It's just, you know, I don't want to make an 8-minute video about Ted Lindsay and Raymond matching the goal record potentially and David Perron getting his suspension appealed. Like, that's not an 8-minute topic, you know? So, combining everything together, I felt this was alright. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about David Perron appealing his suspension, the Wings going out there and beating the Blues yesterday 6-4, and the Blues firing their coach afterwards, Dylan Larkin, his entire update, because we didn't go over that earlier. It's kind of necessary, I felt, to have talked about it here. And then Lucas Raymond going out there and producing the points he has been, scoring the goals he has been, putting his name on lists with other Red Wings legends of yesteryear. And then anything else you wanted to talk about as well. I mean, Jonathan Berggren has been pretty good so far. I've been liking what I've seen out of Alex Lyon. I mean, there are a lot of good things going on in the Wings town right now. I mean, okay, the Perron thing, not really good, quote-unquote, but still, you get what I mean. But either way, thoughts in the comment section below about the Wings and some of these updates. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.